speck of light is showing, so the danger must be growing. Oh, the fires of hell are glowing. Is the grisly reaper mowing? Yes, the danger must be growing. For the rows keep on rowing, and they're certainly not showing any signs that they are slowing. Stop the boat! I am the god of fuck. I am the god of fuck. Virgin sold in quantity, herded by heredity. Redneck burnout Midwest mind. Who said deep rape isn't kind? Porno nation evaluation. What's this time for segregation? Libido, fascination. Too much oral defecation. White trash, get down on your knees. Time for cake and sodomy. Time for cake and sodomy. VCRs and Vaseline, TV fucked by plastic queens, cash in hand and dick on screen. Who said God was ever clean? Bible belt round Anglo waist, putting sinners in their place. Yeah, right, great. If you're so good, explain the shit stains on your face. White trash, get down on your knees. Time for cake and sodomy. Time for cake and sodomy. On we go.
Hello and welcome once again to the Dr. Zeero Xiron free magic secrets show, where magic is always free. And we survey magic and magic techniques and various forms of mind power throughout all of world history, across the globe and through all kinds of cultures and whatnot. And today we have a very, very special episode. I'm going to give you magic keys unlike you've ever seen before. Well, maybe you have if you're well read. But so this is just a if you're one of the lucky contestants up on YouTube, on the internet, who stumble across this one random video, which may not look all that expansive with just a photo of a backpack on a table. Here's what I'm going to do for you. There's this thing called the magical brain. Now, what I'm referring to is when you get your backpack, your little wizard bag, or your magician's tote, whatever you want to call it. You have when you're deep into magic, you have your magical library. That's how you expand. All of us are reading books constantly. So the thing is, you have one specific backpack saved for the best of the best of the best of the best books. So that, like, for instance, if you ever had to, like, show up and play the role of the druid high priest, or show up and play the role of the full metal exorcist, or the full metal alchemist, or however you want to say it. Whenever you show up and you play that role, you want to have your best of your best with you. And the thing is, the way Dr. Zeero has it is that there's a full magical library, right? I have 2 Rubbermaid containers, really huge ones, filled with the best of the best of the best of the best books that are like my reference guides. And this is like, I've gone through so many books in my life. I've investigated all the different corners of magic, all the different cultures. Some books I own, some books I gave away, some books I rented from the library, some books I sold. But I went through so much stuff in my life. And this is sort of like the end of the adventure, where I've pretty much poked around at every single possible corner of the magical universe I could think of. And I mean, there's still interesting books to read out there that I haven't touched, but it's covering ground that I've already kind of covered. It's just helping to expand it. So this is as someone who's read tons and tons and tons and tons of stuff. So what I'm going to getting at here, and what I'm going to give you, is a cheat sheet, so that you can bypass all kinds of wasted effort and money and books that you could avoid or check out later. I'm going to tell you what to pay attention to first. And this is going to be first of 3 videos. I'm going to do one right now on my backpack of the best. And then I'm going to do 2 more videos on the Rubbermaid containers that I have because it's so much stuff. Ideally, I would be doing this, recording the video by hand, but it's an awful lot of space on this tiny, tiny phone that just can't be. So unfortunately, you're just going to have to listen to me and pull out a pen and a paper and write it down. Old fashioned, because I know you guys want it and it's very important that you have. So we're going to talk about what's in the brain, right? And the whole point of what's in the brain is like the compacted best representations of like everything I've ever read. The best of the best that would, like, everything else would hook into it. It's all the knowledge you need right off the bat. So what I'm saying is, if you get everything that I'm going to describe in this backpack, just seek out all this stuff and then put it in a backpack. And I swear to you, up and down, it's going to be everything you're looking for in the magical field, I think, or at least what works for me and what works for my approach. Now, as I said, Magic is like a game of poker that you're playing with every other person that plays Magic, or not plays Magic, but lives it. Of course, I'm not talking about Magic the Gathering, the card game, which was fun once upon a time for young Dr. Zeero. But then there became too many rules and it became like way too convoluted, and it was like a nightmare to even attempt it. And then I gave up. But that we're talking like 8th grade, man. But so getting back to the point, I need you to bust out the paper and the pen and do it the old school method. I'm going to tell you everything that's in my backpack and tell you why I have it. So that much stated, let me just pause this and I will get right back to it. So if you notice the backpack there in the picture, there's a very front zipper pocket and then a large inside pocket. And what you want is like a medium-sized bag that is super weather resistant and does the trick. So what I carry in the very front pocket, squished at the bottom, are all my crystals and minerals and such things, and they're wrapped in like a cloth bag. I also keep down there my runes, which are like little wooden runes, which are cool to have, right? All that squished down the bottom. And then on top of those, I stack my tarot card decks. And Doc Zeero has been through many, 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 many tarot decks in his existence. And I wanted to recommend these are the best ones that I use personally. You got the Rider Waite. I got the 1909, I believe it is, the 100-year anniversary edition where it's like the original coloration. That's the one you want to go to. I also recommend the weird 70s one where everybody has like blue skin and stuff, and it's real kind of like got this grimy 70s psychedelic feel. That isn't part of my collection, but it's one I've had. I just wanted to bring it up. Like either or, it's cool. The importance is that you have a Rider Waite tarot one. I like to go for the original intention, the original way it looked. There's, it's all by hand and painted and such. And like those colors were selected for a purpose. And that's the one you should roll with. So anyway, I have the old school Rider Waite. I got the Marseille Tarot, the classic Marseille Tarot. I also have the Bianco Nero black and white deck that was made by an artist who was born in 1982 from Rome, Italy. And those ones are very beautiful. They're the weakest one I own, though, because there are, like, in his translation of the cards, there's some subtle things he misses that Rider Waite does, because Rider Waite is often, the characters look androgynous, or there's little details in the card that give the fuller lesson of what's going on that he kind of misses. But they're still very beautiful, and I still recommend them. So much so that they are in my brain, literally. So the other deck I have is the Hermetic Tarot. It's a black and white deck. It's completely based on Book T of the Golden Dawn. That's one's integral. Now, I also have 2 more decks. I have the Medieval Scapini Tarot, which is Luigi Scapini made in the 1960s, I believe. And It's not like an authentic medieval deck, but it's in the style of, and it's very beautiful. And then finally, I have the Brotherhood of Light Egyptian Tarot deck that goes with the book, The Sacred Tarot by C.C. Zane, which I've done many, many videos on this in the past. So now, getting to the actual brain of like the most important books I own. I gotta get the zipper open. Oh, I should have had it done before. See, I'm totally inefficient sometimes. So what Magick should have taught me is to stay on top of it. Okay, so there we go. Hold on one second as I set down the phone, and I'll pick you right back up. Okie dokie. So in the corner, I have a two art pieces that I made. I painted one for Fudu Mayu, the god of the ninja, and also a chart of the Tree of Life that I hand painted so I could show it to people. You know, when you got to whip out your wizard bag, you got to explain your techniques, you know. So those are important visuals to have with anybody I interact with on the magical way. So I also own an Afame, which is pretty rad, and also have wands. Then the wands are very special because they are made from 3,000-year-old oak, bog oak and bog yew from one of the sacrificial swamps that the Druids had human sacrifices in I believe it was Ireland. So it's like an old school. This stuff was probably around and thriving and alive as the Druids were conducting their things, because the stuff is basically made from like roots underwater. So that's supposedly it. And each one has a core of the each. So one is a yew oak, and then one's an oak yew. So those are dope. They're my Druid wands. So getting to the books, I have my long skinny books packed to the back. I have my normal size books in the middle, and then I have the really tiny ones that I'm able to just shove in the front because there's just a little bit of room. So these ones are kind of like surplus ones, right? I have a awesome like waterproof wild plants, edible wild plants, dangerous animals, blah, 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 blah. It's like a waterproof like brochure thing with a bunch of maps for different things in my area, which is important because you want to get around. I have Carnal Alchemy, Sadomagical Techniques for Pleasure, Pain, and Self-Transformation by Stephen E. Flowers, PhD. And that's an epic book of sex magic. That is the #1 sex magic book that I would recommend you pick up. But of course, it's all about kink and S&M and domination and such. And then I have thrown in here, you know, I have to open it up to tell you which one it is, but it's one of the Solomonic grimoires about angel magic, and it has all the sigils for the angels and such. Not that I use it. It's just kind of like the one thing that could fit in there that I said, I might as well keep it. I could show it to people for just to describe that this sort of magic existed. So the long skinny books I have shoved in the back are The Magical and Ritual Use of Perfumes by Richard Allen Miller. And that one details like how perfumes are used by pretty much by Crowley and Eliphas Levi and a bunch of like ancient magic sources. And I think they touch on the Heptameron and stuff like that. But it's pretty epic, and it teaches you how to make perfumes and also how to make incenses and such. And it's a great roadmap of what we call olfactory magic, because olfactory magic is all about your sense of smell, right? And it's important for many reasons, but because when your senses compute in your mind, it's said that the sense of smell is the first thing. It's the #1 thing. It's like your #1 for where all your instincts are guided. It's the first thing that hits you to like your reptilian brain. So if you want to pull those strings, you better figure that one out. Now, the next two books I have are ninja books. And They're both by Stephen K. Hayes, and they're very, literally, they're very long. They're like the way a music book is or something, a music sheet book. They're like long and skinny like that. One is called, hold on, I'll tell you in 1 second. They're both ninja books, both by Stephen K. Hayes. And one is called Ninjutsu, The Art of the Invisible Warrior. And the other one is called The Mystic Arts of the Ninja, Hypnotism, Invisibility, and Weaponry. So, ninja magic, you want to talk about getting the discipline you need for your magical show. That's where it's at. And these books are going to guide you. Okay, so now for the most important regular size books I have, and which is in like the middle of this thing. So first up is the Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation in Theory and Practice, Revised Edition by Arya Kaplan, Kaplan, and the first name is Aryeh. And if you don't know what the Sefer Yetzirah is, it's like the earliest with the tree of life and the emanations and the Sephirot and all this. It also breaks down the number magic behind the Torah, the book and the Old Testament. You know, it's all the stuff you'd ever want to see as far as Jewish magic is concerned. It's basically the handbook of Jewish magic, one of them, a very important one. So if you want to learn about all that, which is integral, if you're going to learn about ceremonial magic of Eliphas Levi kind, of the Golden Dawn kind, of any of this, especially Aleister Crowley as well, you need to study Jewish magic. That's the book, right? So write it down. Next up, I have Sacred Sounds by Ted Andrews, which is a book about sound magic. And then my Chaos Magic collection, at least the ones that are most important to me. I got Liber Chaos by Peter J. Carroll, Liber Null and Psychonaut by Peter Carroll, Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine, and Prime Chaos by Phil Hine. Okay, so if you just write those down and read them, those are the most important chaos magic books I could ever possibly recommend to you. And if you want to know what chaos magic is and how it works, just get those 5. All right, next up I have, the book is just called Ninja, Spirit of the Shadow Warrior, and it's a 6-volume set by Stephen K. Hayes. The first one is called Ninja Volume 1, Spirit of the Shadow Warrior. Volume 2 is called Warrior Ways of Enlightenment. Volume 3 is called Warrior Path of the Togakure. Volume 4 is called Legacy of the Night Warrior. Volume 5 is called Lore of the Shinobi Warrior. There's a 6th volume I've never been able to find, which was a very low print run, and I've only seen it on eBay for like $60, and it's the only time I saw a copy anywhere. I'd love to get it. It would not fit in this backpack because I have too much stuff, unfortunately. So Doc Zeero has to put this away a little bit. All right, next up, very important. This one is The Mystical Kabbalah by Dion Fortune. And I have a hardcover book, and it's from one of her, I guess, is esoteric the right word? One of the esoteric organization. It's like something of the inner light, I believe. It was from an actual student with their name like autographed in it. And this copy is very, very old. I think it was from the 40s or the 50s. I'm not sure. Now, next up is The Druid Magic Handbook, Ritual Magic Rooted in the Living Earth by John Michael Greer. Now, Greer put out a whole bunch of books about druids with the name Druid in the title. And there's one called, I think, The Druidry Handbook. So this is something else completely. This is an actual straight up manual of like how to work their magic. Because all the other books, they kind of talk about the philosophy and the structure and like what they're about and all this stuff. This one's the straight up, if you had like a Druid grimoire, right? So again, it's called the Druid Magic Handbook, and it's magic without the K, right? Magic. And it's dope. Okay. Now, I feel like a surgeon doing this. Next up, The Golden Dawn by Israel Regardie, and I have the 6th revised edition. The 6th revised edition, because that's the one. It's like a paperback almost, but it's got a really good stock to it, so it doesn't fall apart and die. It's a good one. It's everything you need to learn about all this tomfoolery we call magic. Next up, The Sacred Tarot by Zeero Xiron, and that goes with the Egyptian tarot cards. It taught me all kinds of wild stuff about magic, and from a different standpoint, because his form of tarot it's got a lot of lessons of the Kabbalah and supposedly lessons from ancient Egypt. It's kind of a work. This thing, it was based on something called an Egyptian initiation, which circulated the occult groups in the 1800s, reporting to be like a legit talk of Egyptian initiation, but it was just a work, and people took it dead serious. But there are tons of ideas discussed in it that are legitimate, and regardless, it presents like a beautiful magical vision of evolution. So this card deck is kind of like based on something that was originally bunk and then upgraded by Zeero Xiron. And if you're going to study tarot, you got Book T, which is included in the Golden Dawn book I just talked about. Book T came out in 1888. Mathers made it with some other people. And it's become the standard way to read tarot ever since, when you're doing it based on the Tree of Life and astrology and such things. Now, if you do Zeero Xiron's method, it's based on the grand pentagram of the universe. And it structures the cards completely different. And it tells a lot of the same lessons and a lot of the same things that it'll just arranges it in a different fashion. So it's doing tarot in a completely different way with different associations than you'd normally think. But when he explains why the associations are what they are, his version actually kind of makes a little bit more sense than Book T a lot of times. So it's like you learn both systems, and it'll do you good. So anyway, I can't recommend that enough. And I also wanted to recommend all of Zeero Xiron's books. He's not as well known as he should be, and the Brotherhood of Light puts out all the stuff. He died in the 1950s and left behind 40 books or something about every magical topic you could think of. Next up, this one is just in here because I had room for it and it made sense to have. It's a double book. It's Applied Magic and Aspects of Occultism by Dion Fortune. And so just a lot of different magical talks about different things. And some of what's in here is kind of bunk. It's cranky stuff. But at the same time, there's important little magical techniques in there that are worth, your time and whatnot. So next up, I have one of the best books about the Tree of Life I've ever read. And it's just specifically about the Sephirot and the Sephirot in 4 worlds and how that works. And it's called The Ladder of Lights by William G. Gray, Gray, a step-by-step guide in the Tree of Life and the 4 worlds of the Kabbalists, including the angelic and archangelic realms. So it's on Samuel Weiser Books. You can usually find it on eBay for like $11 or something. And then you need like, the thing that this is missing is just a simplified overview of the Tree of Life. And I mean the bag itself, not William Gray's book. So I have one more. I had to get a Kabbalah book that was super skinny and tiny and could fit on top of this. And I found the perfect one, and it's always like $5 or less on eBay. It's called The Elements of the Kabbalah. Kabbalah spelled Qabalah by William Parfit. It's just a slim hardcover that just hits all the basics and says everything that's needed. And then the cherry on the top, you could say, is a copy of The Art of Peace by Morihei Ueshiba, the man who started Aikido. If I had the room, I would also have a copy of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, but I couldn't find something small enough to fit. Like, ideally, I would also have that, but you know what? If you have to choose between The Art of Peace and The Art of War, go with The Art of Peace, because it'll just, the whole essence of Aikido, learn it. You just constantly redirecting energy, and to attack your opponent is to attack yourself. You're not supposed to injure your opponent. There are no death strike moves. It's just to keep making them go, like when you're a little kid and you're like, quit hitting yourself, dun, 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 quit hitting yourself. That's what Aikido does until the person just gives up. They're just sick of being thrown around, and then they just sit there and confront your problems together. And that's when you turn into like a therapist, because Aikido kind of turns you into a psychological or psychologist, a therapist kind of person, etc. ad infinitum. So I had you long enough, and I hope you wrote down all that stuff, because it's my magic brain to your brain reflecting magic, so you can create your own magical brain, and then hopefully pass it on down the chain and let people know what you also have. So, I don't know what you personally would include in yours. If any of you other occult content creators out there are listening, it'd be cool if you did a book or a little explanation, just like I did, of what your like main go-to books are, even if I guess they aren't compacted into like one backpack like I have them. So that's it. Hit the subscribe button. Let people know I exist. Yakety smackety, you know how it goes. And as always, hail Arkham. And here's your hot rockin' outro. Later, kids.
Cute as a snake, we beat with a rake to grow in our kitchen in the pies we bake. Feed it to us, to squirm in our bellies, twisting our guts and make our spines too jelly. Stay, don't want to go now. Drove the children from their chores, handcrafted housewives into whores. Fear of the beast is calling it near, creating what we're hating. It's only fear that is here. Stay, don't want to go now. Drove the children from their chores, handcrafted housewives into whores, into whores. Fear of the beast is calling it near, creating what we're hating. It's only fear that is here. Stay, don't want to go now. Come into our home, won't you stay? I know the steak is cold, but it's wrapped in plastic. Come into our home, won't you stay? I know the steak is cold, but it's wrapped in plastic. I'm only as deep as the self that I dig. I'm only as sick as the stick in the pig. Thin and so white, thin and so white. Daddy tells a daughter while mommy's sleeping at night. To wash away sin, you must take off your skin. The righteous father wears the yellow screen. Don't wanna go now. Stay. Don't wanna go now. Stay. Don't wanna go now. Come into our home, won't you stay? You cannot today all the things you hate. Burn your bridges, burn your bridges. Don't take time to sew your stitches. Burn your bridges, burn your bridges. Good is the thing that you favor, evil is your sour flavor. I don't need your hate, I decide my fate. You cannot today all the things you rate. I don't need your hate,